marketers. Deborah Eckerling here.
And I'm Keith Smith, and we host the MPN Meta Marketing Show, which is not just another marketing podcast, but the marketing podcast about all the other marketing podcasts.
Podcasts are booming, right? We love them, and people actually listen. They don't scroll, they don't swipe. Well, except maybe during the ad breaks.
But here's the secret. With the Marketing Podcast Network, your ads don't make people hit skip. We put your brand on shows that people actually want to hear.
That's right. We match your message with podcasts that make marketing nerds like us perk up and take notes, or at least nod knowingly, pretending they understand.
And don't worry, because we'll deliver your ad naturally. People might even think that we love your brand personally, which of course we totally do, unless it's a veggie smoothie, then maybe not.
If you want your brand heard without making listeners roll their eyes,
head to marketingpodcasts.net and catch marketing fans at work, rest, and play. Seriously, your audience is already listening. Make sure they hear your brand and not our awkward jokes.
Join the conversation, because good ads shouldn't just be tolerated, they should be enjoyed.
Yes!
Hey, have you heard about Podcast On? This is a global podcast charity event where hosts dedicate one episode to a nonprofit they care about and release it together the same week. No fundraising, no fees, just powerful storytelling for good. Podcast On 2026 runs March 14th to March 20th. Join thousands of podcasters worldwide and use your voice for impact. It's free, it's simple, and it starts at podcaston.org.
The Marketing Podcast Network is a proud partner of Podcast On.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.
Welcome to Your Radiant Spirit, a space for the conversations and colors that help you see yourself more clearly. I'm Heather Eck, an intuitive artist and guide, and I believe your soul speaks in the ways the mind can't always put into words, through color, energy, and the stories your body holds. This show is where we explore those messages. Through personal stories, deep conversations, and creative insight, we'll uncover what's been hidden, release what no longer serves, and begin to imagine what's possible when you live in full alignment with who you're meant to be. What you hear here is more than inspiration, it's an opening, a chance to feel the shift that could change everything. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's step into today's conversation. Welcome back to Your Radiant Spirit. I'm so excited to have my guest today, Lauren Pearlingi, an intuitive human design and business guide, trauma healer, Theta Reiki master, meditation coach, author, motivational speaker, and shamanic practitioner. She helps women with multifaceted trauma liberate themselves from their past and go from victim to victor. She focuses on sharing human design in a way that's simple, practical, and usable. For her, it explains the mysteries of life, which is why she named her business the Mermaid Light. Lauren believes that every woman has a unique purpose and gift to share with the world, and we are here to help each other tap into that inner wisdom and courage to live a life of meaning and fulfillment. I'm so excited to have Lauren on the show. I've been a guest on her podcast as well, so it's nice to turn the mic around and welcome you to the show, Lauren. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I just love your energy and being in your energy, so I'm honored to be here with your guests.
Thank you. And I'm happy to see you in your new office space, and you have your spirit portrait behind you, and it just makes my heart happy. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I told you, I said, I'm moving eventually. I didn't know when, right? When the first time we recorded. And then I'm like, I have to message her. I finally up.
And it looks so nice. It's such a great color for you. I love it. I love you were so kind to do my human design chart for me when we met a couple years ago, and your work spans so many different modalities. Tell us what led you down the path, and how did you come up with the name the Mermaid Light?
Sure. So the first part is how I came up with like the journey, I should say, through like why I'm so obsessed with like astrology and human design is because I was navigating really, really intense anxiety. And maybe like at some point in my journey, probably like a deep sense of like hopelessness, feeling like this like traditional world that we live in, like never really gave me any answers. So I kept really asking myself, you know, there has to be more to life than basically at my rock bottom, like where I was. And then one day I was like scrolling through Instagram, like one does, right? And I stumbled upon human design. So I was like, oh, okay, like what's this human design? I've always loved astrology. And I made my chart. And for the first time in my life ever, in my entire life, I felt like I was seen, like just the very basics, like, oh, this is, I just felt like my soul was like, oh, finally, like I could exhale kind of thing, you know?
Mm.
It's like everything in my chart and my astrology, like, I mean, I knew astrology and it kind of gave me like the characteristics per se of somebody's, you know, personality, I should say. But I never really understood like what my soul essence was. I could
Mhm.
feel it. I knew it. It was just, I knew it. But I couldn't explain it kind of thing. And I feel like that is what human design does. So like everything in my human design chart that I felt like I couldn't logically make sense of. I just felt like there was truth in it. I just didn't know where it was. So that
Mhm.
was probably about 8 years ago now. And I've self-taught myself. I do not claim to be a certified reader in human design, but I have a different approach and perspective on human design from personal experience. And I self-taught myself everything. And that's just, again, in my human design and astrology, I feel like from personal experiences and teaching myself, I have a different perspective on teaching people
Mhm.
about human design from actually self-teaching myself human design. Obviously, I make sure I am teaching it correctly. I'm not just making stuff up, right? But
Right.
what happened was I just I deconditioned myself and self-taught myself human design. And through all of this, I created myself my own framework and my one-on-one coaching, and also either my membership now that I have, or when I do chart reading. So I don't do chart reading calls like if you were to go get a chart reading call from, you know, just a certified reader. They're simply just reading your chart. I'm reading your energy. I'm reading the stuff. I'm listening to the stuff that you're saying to me, and I'm giving you real in-depth like answers. It's just like a different I'm not just reading from a book. You know, I feel like sometimes a reader that reads a certain way, it's because, and I'm not saying, I'm not knocking them either, but I'm just saying I have had a chart reading call with a certified, because I wanted to experience it to see why are people telling me that I do it different. Like this was 3 years into my human design experiment that I was like, why are people telling me I do this different? Like I thought maybe I wasn't doing it right, you know? But I
Mhm.
realized, oh, it's because I am actually intuitively looking at somebody's chart, listening to what they're saying, and my eyes are going to exactly where they need to decondition or where the answer is or whatever it is. It just comes through me and I'm looking at it. And that's where pretty much we begin if they work with me, or I can just give them wisdom or guidance or something like that, or help them remember who they are. So basically, at the end of all of this, it finally like showed me through my own entrepreneur journey that I have a really good way of helping people just remember who they are. It's not me teaching you. Yeah, sure, I can teach you about human design. I can teach you how to use it if you're an entrepreneur. And I always tell people, you don't need to know anything about entrepreneur or human design or astrology, but just simply know how to pull your clients' charts and look at different aspects of their chart so you can guide them. You know, if you're teaching strategy, like if you're a business coach, or if you are, and I don't like to gatekeep any of this stuff, because like you don't need to work with me if you're a business coach and you need to teach strategy and your strategy is not bringing in clients, or you're supposed to be a business coach teaching strategy. You should implement human design or astrology. It's the energetics behind it. I always tell people that, like, just pull their chart, use my free link for the free chart, pull their chart and literally teach them about their strategy. There's a called, it's strategy. It's human design strategy. It's the same thing of a business strategy. Same thing with like if you pull a astrology chart, it's going to teach strategy. It's just like the energetic piece. It's the divine masculine and divine feminine. Divine masculine is the strategy. Divine feminine is the energy behind it. So that's why it works together. You know, like for like like a spiritual entrepreneur. So after realizing this of my own experiment and research for many years, I realized, oh my goodness, this is the framework and this is exactly how I can help people honor their own energy, because it's literally natural. They just need to understand it. So it's not
Mhm.
just a system. It's literally a tangible way that I embody this in my own life, and I still do to this day. And how I honored my, like, coming home to myself, and it's literally what I teach other people to do. So that's like my very Cliff Notes version of
Yeah.
where I am.
It's so interesting too. I love the way you describe that because having a background in human resources myself, I've seen so many
Yep.
of those like personality assessments, you know, your MBTI and your EQI, and so many of those different assessments that give you one aspect of you at work. And I feel like when you take those assessments, sometimes you have such a better understanding of who you are and how you function at work. And it feels like human design takes that to the next level where it's like, yes, and here's how you function spiritually.
Right.
And that's really powerful. I love that. So, I love in your bio, you talk about how you help people, specifically women, move from the victim to the victor. Can you tell us, and if you've got an example to share, that'd be awesome, how you help women sort of reframe that identity to go from victim to victor, and how you've seen that transformation in people too?
Sure. I can share one of my clients. So actually, one of my clients that's coming to me right now is, so I worked with a woman that was probably carrying shame from her childhood, probably from childhood abuse for like, I want to say, I could be off on this, for like 30 years. So basically, so she's built a business. Like when she came to me, she's built a business, like, very successful business. But then she felt like, she was like frozen anytime that like she would show up. And this is what she had came to me, before we worked, like when we were working together. And through just simply inner child healing and trauma healing, we could literally just deconditioning and unlearning all of that, things that she learned before. I didn't need to help her build a successful business. She was frozen literally and just couldn't move, kind of felt stuck. And just simply from doing inner child healing and, trauma healing, she got out of that like shutdown response, and we found the root, like we got to the root of that. And simply just a few sessions of her working with me, like the 12 weeks, obviously that was like, maybe usually what I see with my clients is the first couple weeks they don't like to open up, which is fine. It's a normal response to trauma. Like it's like,
Hmm.
oh gosh, she can see me. And like me being a 6'2" emotional projector, I see people's trauma. I know exactly, but I have to give space, and I can't just, I know exactly what's happening. I know, like I can't, but I feel it in my body. So I know intuitively what's happening, which helps me understand of like, okay, she's, maybe scared to speak or share, or maybe host her own workshops or whatever it was, like in the time working with her. And since, you know working with her and working through that, she got out of that survival mode, because that shutdown response is normal in survival mode. It's just
Hmm.
like our bodies are protecting us. So it's like when I come in, sometimes our body's like, oh god, she sees us, oh no, she's coming. Like,
Alert, alert.
yeah, like it's like it can feel like I'm trying to like pull something out of you what's not there. And it's more of like, it's more of just, having that safe community, having that safe space, having that safe, container, so you can, get out of survival mode, even if it is for that time. I mean, obviously I help with, other techniques and stuff for like community and like environment. But like a lot of people have said to me, more, I don't want to say a lot of people, but most of my clients have said to me that sometimes your hour calls that I have weekly is the only safe space I have. And sometimes
Mm.
that changes though too, because then they're putting boundaries, and then they're like, this isn't for me anymore. They're clearing out stuff too. But I've heard that more times than not, that they said that that hour with me is a safe space for them because of, of all of the childhood abuse or trauma that they have endured. So that's just kind of like a short client story of like the transformation that one of my clients have shared. But it's not, it could be from an inspiring entrepreneur. So I don't just work with entrepreneurs. I work with people that want to heal the trauma to, get to where they want to go, if that is building a business, or if it is somebody that just simply needs trauma healing. Like I've worked with, um, you know, people that just need to, that victim mindset. And that victim
Mhm.
mindset is needed because you're in survival mode. You can't have a victor. I've never mastered this. And if somebody knows that, or maybe if you know this, that you could be in victor mindset and be in survival mode. Like it doesn't work like that. It's
Right.
completely opposite. So you have to have a victim mindset when you're in survival mode. And if you're in survival mode and you want that victor, that's how you can shift. Yeah.
Got it. How do you think, what are some signs if for folks that are listening here and they're thinking like, am I in survival mode? What are some signs that people might have that they're still carrying trauma, even if they think that they've moved on from it?
Some like symptoms could be you immediately get triggered. Immediately
Oh
get
yeah.
triggered if somebody says something, or lack mentality. You live in, and here's the thing too with this is it's all connected to a past life. So
Mm,
let me give you an example. Like I don't live in victim mindset, but it does not necessarily mean that I don't have triggers. I get triggered. It's my body's response. It's a natural response to get triggered. However, when you're in that victim mindset, it actually dictates your life. So it means like you can get triggered and be like, oh, that person triggered me, or they said something that triggered me, but you're not going to act on that trigger to hurt that other person.
right.
However, when you're in that victim mindset, you're doing this subconsciously. So it's all living in your subconscious. So you might not even be consciously aware that you're even doing any of this stuff. Or when you become conscious of all of this. People that live in the victim mentality, they don't know that they're there until they
Hmm.
have a spiritual awakening or something dramatic has happened to them to make them self-aware, to realize, holy shit, this happened. Sorry, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm cussing your
That's
podcast.
all right. You're fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're good.
yeah. So some of the symptoms could be getting defensive, or if somebody says something, you immediately get defensive or feel like you have to defend yourself, or you shut down. Like it's a shutdown response. Like I said with my client, it was literally, she would shut down every single time I asked her something about her childhood, or she immediately would be like, I'm uncomfortable talking about this, which is fine. Because in session, if you're not comfortable talking about this, I'll just keep asking questions. And then you can self-reflect later. Because if you are shutting down, it's just your body's of like, we're not dealing with that. That's too traumatic. I'm not going to help you relive that. I'm just going to help you heal that, to kind of use that scenario to look at it from a different perspective, because victim and victor, they're just perspectives. So if
Yeah.
you look at things from I'm wounded, it hurts, versus this, how can I look at it as this, like this situation has helped me get to the like where I am. It's just a
Hmm.
lot like the mindset piece to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
How do you help people integrate spirituality and their intuition into these healing conversations that you have with them? Because so much of your work is rooted in spirituality, Reiki, shamanism, trauma therapy, all of that. So when you're working with somebody, how do you help them sort of understand themselves at a deeper intuitive level so that they can work on healing, not just at that physical response, but also at that like spiritual, um, the soul response too.
Yeah. So this is I was going to say, hopefully that's a very good question. And hopefully I answer it to be like the best that will answer this question. But to me, intuition plays a huge part of personal growth and healing.
Yeah.
So intuition is like everything. It's literally the language of your soul, is what I say. So human design, all of the things that I do, like if it's integrating like shamanic practices, if it's integrating the the theta Reiki is more of like Reiki is like Reiki, but the theta part is subconscious. So like the theta
Oh.
part is like, that is the subconscious healing, because without the healing of the subconscious and the mindset work, it's like it can't, the energetics behind the, if it would be human design or if it would be any other type of healing modalities, they have to go like together. So it's like the human design in essence is a tool for self-awareness and to trust yourself. So if I in the
Mhm.
beginning of my journey didn't have all the things that I said earlier, then how would I be able to trust myself? Or how would I be able to know that what I'm doing is what, how do I know how to listen to myself?
Mhm.
Because we're taught in society, oh, do it this way. This is what society wants. But then you realize, no, that doesn't feel right. So, like, for instance, I'm an emotional authority, like I said. So that my authority is how I listen to my intuition. It's how I make decisions correctly. It's like the right decisions for myself. But that doesn't mean that me and you have different ways that we listen to our intuition. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It just means that we have different ways. So first, I have to pull their obviously human design chart to be able to guide them in how to use their intuition. And then if they need help with that, it's a different way because everybody has a different way that they listen to their intuition. Because you can't just tell somebody, you could tell somebody, but you most times are not. You can't just tell somebody with deep, multifaceted trauma, just listen to your body. They're going to look at you.
Right.
I've been out of my body my 30, 40, 50, 60 years of my life. What does that even mean? So it's me then teaching them, okay, so according to your energy, your type, like your strategy, authority, and I think in human design, it's just a tool. You can use other things. It's just what I use. This is how you should listen. So then they practice with it. And they come back the next week and they're like, I totally failed. That's okay. That means if people tell me they're failing, then I'm like, oh, you're trying. So that means
Right.
good. So if you tell me next week you failed again, or you tell me for 3 months you failed, because here's the thing, I self-practiced this for 9 years. Like I'm 9 years into my human design experiment. I still fail. I still make emotional decisions when I'm not supposed to be, supposed to be, it's just, I'm still human at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
however, when I'm making huge decisions, I realize, do I have emotional clarity? I'm just saying, for instance, because I have an emotional authority. So, somebody that is, I believe that you're sacral. So is somebody that has a sacral authority, their gut simply is going to tell them yes or no. So if you
Mhm.
pull through this thing, do you really want to do this thing? So then that could be your gut saying no. But if you're second guessing yourself and overthinking, there's a reason for that. Your
Mhm.
intuition. But then sometimes, with that, your mind plays a huge part in all of this. So again, that's why I integrate the theta healing to it, because that helps with belief systems, that helps with mindset, that helps with all of that, because your mind could be the one that's making decisions. And even though people say, well, let me think about it, instead of oh, let me feel into this, they're simply going to overthink it because they don't even know how to make a decision, or nobody showed them how to make a decision. It doesn't, I
Mhm.
know some, astrology, they make fun of oh, Libras, they're so indecisive. Well, the one good trait about a Libra is they will think about it so much that they know how to make a decision because they thought about it for 2 weeks or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So it's something like that. I'm like, it's just a tool, how to, at the end of the day, to answer your question, to trust yourself. So,
Yeah.
and it's how you can make decisions to align with your true self. And it's not your conditioning, because we're all built to, up until you learn or have a spiritual awakening, or even to this day, we're all built, and we're all conditioned from our parents, that were conditioned from their parents, that were conditioned from their parents. And if you're the, generational, cycle breaker, I don't like to call it a curse, because I mean, it is generational curse, whatever, it's all the same wording, but you're the one that's changing that. So 7 generations back, 7 generations above, it's your life's going to be hard this lifetime. It's just, I feel like all of us can probably resonate with that if you're listening to this, so
Yeah.
it's basically, you know um it's a huge thing right now within the spiritual community of how do I listen to my intuition, or it's that moment before your brain starts to tell you what to do. It's that I felt it, but now I can't explain it, so how do I do that? It's it's that deep knowing, regardless of your authority, and regardless of anything else I just said about human design. It's that voice that tells you don't do it, and you do it anyway. Or
Mhm.
it's when people tell me, and I used to say this too, oh, I got butterflies, in a relationship, per se. Relationships is a huge lesson of mine this lifetime. So, it's that, like that jittery feeling. That was my intuition saying to go away. Do not go.
Right.
into this relationship. Do not do this thing. You just got out of a toxic relationship. You just got out of abusive relationship. Like, don't do this. And I thought it was like, oh yeah. And then it was the same reason why I left or whatever,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad you answered that. That was going to be one of my questions for you is what's been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned in your own journey that's taught you how to use these tools and helped you along your path. Sounds like, you've mentioned your emotionally sort of governed relationships are a big part of your experience too. So now that you know that about yourself, you've got the tools to support yourself. But I'm sure, like even me, using color and intuition and my clairsentience there, I always get stuck. There are days where I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, this is a mess. But we're always learning and we're always given opportunities to look at it from a bigger perspective and go, wait a minute, what's actually happening here? Let me take a step back and look at it with fresh eyes. Let me take a step back and feel my way through it and go, how did this actually feel to me? How did this impact my decision? Should I have even made a decision? And how do I now move through this? Because you can't just you can't just sweep it under the rug. You've got to go through it and deal with the consequences of whatever decision you've made, right?
Right. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have a lot of those situations still, as we're always learning, but it always like kind of builds on itself. So the
Mm-hmm.
biggest lesson I feel like that I've learned up until this point is about worth and
Mm-hmm.
purpose. So I learned that my worth is not earned, it's remembered, through everything that I know. And I used to think that I had to prove to myself that or I had to hustle more or work more. And I just said that, I'm a projector. So I'm not built like the rest of the world. So I'm built to kind of I see the bigger picture to things, and I see how to work easier. So but I also sometimes work like a generator, because generators are that's like the masculine part of society, that they're the builders. They have that energy, that go, 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 that hustle all the time. However, even in a generator's perspective, if they're doing things that they don't want to do, they're still going to burn out just as much as any other human design type. So it doesn't really matter. You won't burn out as quickly because you have that energy. But I realized that the society would say, if I don't work a 9 to 5 job, then I'm not worthy of whatever, or I'm not going to make money, or I'm not going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why it's what I'm doing now is so successful, because it's what I'm supposed to be doing. It's what my soul came here to do. I just had to get through all of the other stuff. It doesn't mean that my self-doubt comes up oh, I got to go back to work, or I need to go back to a 9 to 5 job. It's entrepreneurship is my path. It's just
Mm-hmm.
now I need to stop resisting my own shadow work or my own
Yeah.
stuff that I need to do. And I realized through all of that my purpose isn't about performance, because I said about relationships, I was always shown my entire life that if I did not perform, if I did not work hard, or if I didn't do something, I would not earn somebody's love, which is why I got stuck in a lot of toxic relationships, abusive, physically, emotionally, mentally. But that also was my childhood. So in my childhood, if I was not performing, if I was not working hard, I was called lazy. I need to do this. I need to do better. I'm not worthy. That's all of the stuff that I heard in my head. And I'm not saying that
Mm-hmm.
parents, my mom might be listening to this, my dad might be listening to this. I'm not saying that that is their fault, because it's not. Now, at one point in my journey, when I was stuck in victim, I blamed my ex-husband. I blamed every single partner that I was with. I blamed my parents until I couldn't blame them anymore, because I was alone with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to start blaming myself and working through all of that. So I want to say this, if anybody's listening, it's your trauma is not your fault. And anything that you went through is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. And I know that could probably trigger people, no matter where you are listening to this, or where you are in your journey, because it triggered me, but it also actually gave me that thought of, wait a second, how about if, because I think I can't even tell you how many people I've heard that from, that that I would get triggered by them talking, or I would be listening to something, and I'm like, God, that's so triggering, but why does that trigger me so bad? I would always be very curious about why I'm so triggered.
Yeah.
I would
Mm-hmm.
always say that, but then that curiosity led to understanding of oh, now I can stand in my truth, and then everything just flows.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Your trauma is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. I think
Yeah.
that's so important too, because we really do at some point have to look at the life that we've made and say, I am responsible for where I am today. And I'm responsible for the healing that needs to happen in order for me to move forward. And that's a tough thing, I think, especially because so much about where we are in our human experience feels hard these days. And
Yeah.
so it is, I think, I love in your bio, I always say this too, like we have to reach our hand back and help pull people along and help bring them along the healing journey so that they can do the same for other people too. And what I really love about your work too, Lauren, is that you've got great programs that help people find that healing through the modality that feels the best to them. So tell us about some of the programs that you've got. You've got the membership, and you're working on something new we talked about in the green room that's launching soon. Tell us
Yeah.
about those. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a few things. So I do have I always have my 101 open. I also have chart reading calls. So this is more of like a 90-minute, and I'm going to say intense, and it's because it's going to be intense, call with me. And we go through your chart and I give you tangible healing stuff. It's pretty much when I say, I usually just call it my 90-minute calls. And then somebody said to me, Lauren, you need to start calling it intense because holy shit, this is intense. And it's so much information packed in like an hour and a half. But it's just for those people that maybe you're in between mentorships, or maybe you just invested a huge amount of money, or maybe you were probably like the rest of us at the end of last year that we all invested into mentors. And then we were like, holy shit, like now I just invested all this money and I didn't get what I wanted, or I didn't get
Mm,
what I invested in, or whatever. And I think a lot of us, I think, had went through that, that whole experience. And I realized that taught me through that experience that I don't need to keep paying for a membership. So then I was thinking, what can I provide people that are in that situation? So that's what kind of I birthed my 90-minute intense, I should say, chart reading call. And we go through just wherever you are in your journey. And, um, you know, it's through the lens of human design. I do mix in astrology too, because I feel like that's a huge part, especially
mhm,
or and you're telling me that you're stuck and you're stuck and you can't, your message is not matching what you're promoting or people. Because what really should happen is you should make content, and then the people that are in your audience already are just waiting for that time, like the embodiment of this is what I need. Or you shouldn't have to be no matter what energy type you are, you shouldn't be chasing people. Like that's not,
mhm.
there's a block there. There's either an emotional or a money block there. So we go through that. Or it's my membership where it's other entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, and it's just a really safe space, a sacred space. So you can heal. I blend human design, astrology, and then like business expansion in like a more soul aligned way.
Mhm.
So I hope like I'll be hosting workshops in there. And we have live weekly calls. They're called, I love them. I literally, it just launched a couple weeks ago. It's called Get Shit Done Hour. And it's simply, we all get on a call like every week. And sometimes we'll talk and work, or sometimes we just mute ourselves and do something for a whole hour. And like, for me, I always have a whole to-do list to do, but it's like giving, it's more of like a way of like accountability. And then also people that can connect, the people that can be in there to connect with each other. And it's just a really like, community is huge for me. My Aquarius sun, huge for me. So I'm really good at building communities and like bringing people into community. Cause like, I feel like right now people need community. People
Yeah.
just need to talk to people, or if, even though you're like with a lot of like-minded people, I've noticed the last year or so that people are really needing community, especially with COVID and like,
Yeah.
being excluded, but now everything's coming together. So I had that membership. It's called the Enlightened Misfits Sisterhood. And then, um, like I said, I also have my 101, which is that's more of me. You get me, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. through Voxer. That's what I use. And it's more intense. So it's like 10x of my 90 minute, my 90 minute
Okay.
call. So I do have that too. I always have my one-on-one coaching too for people that need that really intense, really intense connection and healing and all that. So
Awesome. And you have a podcast as well, the Enlightened Misfits podcast,
yes.
which is amazing. And I will link your link tree and your socials and your podcast all in the show notes here. But tell us where people can find you online.
Yeah. So if you just type in the Mermaid Light, Lauren Pearlingi or Lauren Pearlingi will pop up. You can do that. You should be able to do that. I'll also, you have the links too. You'll have that on my link tree, but you should be able to do that. You can even put it on Google and you should be able to find me. Like even on YouTube, you'll find my YouTube, my TikTok, anywhere you put it in, you can put in the Mermaid Light. It should pop up, or Lauren or Lauren Pearlingi. So that's where you guys can find me.
Awesome.
Across all social media.
And then if
Yeah.
there's one thing you can say to the listeners today about how they can live a more radiant life, what would you share?
That's a good question. I think I would share that you're not broken, you're becoming. So the past is shaping you and it does not define you, and you get to choose what you want to create to be here.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. That's
That was
awesome.
from spirit. That's what I should.
Well,
I
it
was
came
like,
through
I
clearly.
a lot of things, but here I need you to channel something for me.
I love it. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to join me today. Thank you so much for being here. And folks, I'll list all of Lauren's links in the show notes. So if you want to catch up and do a call with her, she's also got a free 30-minute clarity call on her link tree too. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be
Me
here.
too. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on Your Radiant Spirit. Every conversation here is an invitation to go beyond the surface, to listen to what your soul has been whispering, and to step into the life you've been longing for. If you're ready to go deeper, to work in a way that's personal, creative, and profoundly transformative, you'll find ways to connect with me in the show notes. Whether it's through art, a guided session, or a fully immersive journey, you'll discover a space where your truth is seen and your next chapter begins. If this episode spoke to you, it would mean the world if you shared it with a friend, left a review, or subscribed so more people can discover the conversations we have here. Until next time, my friend, keep noticing the colors, the moments, and the nudges. They're all leading you home. And for now, take a breath, hold on to what resonated, and carry it with you into the rest of your day. Thanks for listening.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.